Hello everyone, what's up? Leviathan News here on a Thursday. It's January 9th. What's up everyone? It's so good to be back. Honestly, really excited. Been a few weeks. Some of you already know that I had like a very weird last few weeks. You can read all about it on my pinned tweet or post on X for those interested. And thankfully, here we are. I'm not at my usual setup. I'm not home. I'm with my parents now, recovering actually. But thankfully, things are going well. And really humble, grateful. We'll use this opportunity to thank my amazing parents and family and friends who are really supporting me and helping me with a lot of stuff. And to also thank so many of you, my online friends and community, who have been amazingly supportive. So many people reached out, told me all kind of stuff, heartwarming stuff, truly humbling, and I just feel fortunate and blessed and thankful. Right on. I'm not wearing a hat, but I would have taken it off if I had one for you guys. Incredible to already see 45 viewers, and even maybe more incredible than that is to have the opportunity to speak with my guest for today, Johannes from Frankencoin. That's how they like to. What a crazy name, man! Like Frankencoin, like what I say.
It's technically I have for regulatory reasons. I'm not from Frankencoin. I'm from the Frankencoin Association, which is the association which is developing Frankencoin. Frankencoin itself is a decentralized project, but yeah, I mean it's a very Swiss name. You know, it's like outside of Switzerland, everyone associates Frankencoin with the Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, yeah.
Which it's a bit of tongue in cheek, and we're playing with that with the Frankencow, for example, but. The Franken is the Swiss German or the German word for the Swiss franc. So that's where it comes from.
Okay. For me personally, when I just remember scrolling like a week ago on X, and all of a sudden seeing you guys posting about the fact that CRV is going to be able to be used as collateral to mint the new stable. It's called CHSF or like
exactly CHF. So the set CHF, which is the set Swiss franc, basically. Correct.
Amazing. And it's very like, especially for someone like me, that I'm in Israel, not based in the US, like so many people in the industry. And we all like stablecoin so much, and we talk about stablecoin, especially here on Leviathan News, basically all the time. But like 99% of the time, basically, if not 100, it's dollar stablecoins.
Yeah.
Like you rarely meet any other token. And every once in a while you hear about EURC or something like that, like a Euro stablecoin. But to be honest, I don't remember anything. I don't even think that we ever had like an interest, like any interview about the Euro stablecoin.
I mean, me being Swiss and offending the whole European Union, why would you want to hold the euro, right?
That's my point.
Well, I mean, I'm a daily user. To be very, very honest, I'm a daily user of a euro stablecoin because, I'm fully on chain. So I use, Gnosis Pay cards, which, by the way, amazing project, but which is unfortunately, because of regulatory reasons, only euro denominated right now. Now, obviously, we want to change that because we believe that, and there's actually research on that. We have some shared on our Twitter why the two best assets to hedge against geopolitical risk are Bitcoin and the Swiss franc.
Wow.
So,
really?
There's maybe I'm not sure if there's like a public chat here, but we can share that paper if you want, or if not, I can just send it to you afterwards.
Send me. We should be able to if you can enter your own X account.
Yes,
you will be able to find the stream, the broadcast on X, and then we can put it in the comments there, or maybe. And I will also, like, as you're talking, I will prepare the tweet So
Yes.
take your time. Go on to like the longest monologue you can have. I will. In the meanwhile, I will put out a tweet and tag all of us, because I want again as many people to join the stream before we get like into the deep part of the interview.
Exactly. I
But
just posted it actually. I just posted the link to that paper.
your own ex.
Now on X, exactly below the stream on the Frankencoin Twitter page. So yeah, I mean, I see myself as both an ambassador to Frankencoin, but as much as an ambassador to Switzerland. I'm Swiss born, Swiss raised, and
Shout out,
I
shout out
somehow
Switzerland.
shout out Switzerland. I mean,
Right on.
it's not very Swiss to do that, to be very honest, to go out.
I'm
and,
I'm Israeli, so you can understand.
exactly. The flag is a big plus. Okay. But yeah, so that's what we really do. We want to bring the Swiss franc as a very secure and stable, but also capital efficient alternative to the US dollar in DeFi. It's simple as just don't de-risk into USD. It's a bad idea, man. Just we're here.
But maybe even before we get into what's Frankencoin and what's Frankencoin Association that you say that you actually are a part of, and like maybe just a general question, especially like it will be very useful for someone like me who actually have no actual idea like how it's become like that. How is the Swiss franc such a strong coin? Like, why is that? Why is Switzerland like such a like the money capital of the world? It seems sometimes. Why don't they use the euro over there? Like because they're smart. How do you?
Yeah.
Explain? Like,
Now
what's your general like framing for all of that? Like.
You've thrown me into the deep end. But it is a definite combination of things. Historical reasons, right? I mean, you can argue that it's a bit the same question, like why is gold so stable? Or why is I mean, Switzerland was the only country, I'd say, in Europe which has not sustained any heavy damage in the Second World War, for example. So there's the infrastructure side of things. Switzerland has a very, now talking 60 years ago, right? Switzerland has very strong industries, which, many pharmaceuticals, you now also commodity trading. There's big high-tech industry in Switzerland. It's just like very kind of down-to-earth things, like the touchable things, if you will, which are in Switzerland. And at the same time, it's a small country. It is, funnily, culturally speaking, not very homogeneous. I remember in high school we had a French teacher from France, and she would always talk about la grande nation, right, the French nation. And Switzerland doesn't have that. Switzerland has 26 cantons, culturally relatively diverse. You have in the French part, you have the Italian-speaking part, you have the Romansh part, you have the German part of Switzerland. You have chocolate, obviously. Even though, if you look at chocolate, I mean, there's no
I like chocolate,
cacao
man.
beans. There's no cacao beans in Switzerland. The only thing why it is in Switzerland is because one dude basically was selling milk powder back in the day, where Gaye and Nestle came out of. And then another dude came up with the idea of the conch, which is to make smooth chocolate. That's where it all came from.
Really?
But really, I think probably Switzerland is as stable as it is because it's boring. That's probably the real reason.
What a great reason to be.
You have there's no president in Switzerland.
Being boring is underrated, Being boring is really underrated.
Boring is good, right? Boring is good.
In so many levels, yeah.
And especially for me, I grew up in this little town in Switzerland called Zug. You might know it as the Crypto Valley. And when I was 18, I was so bored. I basically moved out and explored the world. And then when we started a family, we decided to move back to Zug because it's just this perfect, boring place to grow up in. And I think I
I'm
need
sure
this.
it's beautiful, by the way. I'm sure it's
Hey,
beautiful.
it is beautiful, but
How do you write Zug? Z-U-G?
ZUG, exactly, ZUG. Um, and for me, this is now the perfect place because crypto is so all-consuming, and being on, I call it the crypto circuit or the conference circuit, is so demanding that I just, I go back home and I have quiet, I have boring, and I would
God
probably say that
bless.
is kind of
God
the
bless.
reason why everyone is looking at the Swiss franc to go into. There's no, very little populist politics. There's very little big. We need to change everything now in Switzerland, which the European Union has that tendency where you have certain politicians from larger countries who basically say, in Germany, very good example. Now we need to shut down all the atomic energy plants, and then they did that. Now it blew up in their face, unfortunately, but that is something which wouldn't happen in Switzerland. You wouldn't have such like even the ability to do that, and probably the market appreciates that. Yeah, being boring. Boring is good.
Yeah, it really is. I'm learning it like these days. I'm learning it especially well. Like there are so many benefits to boredom, and because boredom in a way, and maybe it's even a great way to go into the next part of the conversation. Like boredom is stability, and stable coins they in a way they love boredom. Like they want to keep it as boring as possible with zero volatility, and it just plays as an advantage for that.
We actually got a very good question just now, but maybe
Go for it. I haven't even watched
Let's
it
actually, because let's address this question a bit later, this event, because this has a lot to do with how the Frankencoin is structured technically and actually allowing this kind of things. But I think we'll dive into that idea of it goes into the Oracle as design of the protocol. But let's stay a bit on the whole geopolitical, because there's two ways you can talk about stablecoins. You can talk about them from a technical perspective, where if you look at MakerDAO started to be US dollar backed by Ethereum, and it is Ethereum had nothing to do with the dollar. So in fact, it was something which had the price of a US dollar, but the risk profile of a crypto. Because if the Ethereum goes to basically zero, the whole stablecoin is also not worth anything. And we somehow want to change that with Frankencoin, where basically bringing it, once again, talk about boredom, bringing it back into where a stablecoin or a currency represents the sum of economic power, as well as culture, as well as political structure of a country, and that's where its value comes from. That's where the shekel or the US dollar or the euro, that's why they are worth what they are, or they're not worth what they are not.
Yeah, exactly. How like deep into history, like how back does it go that the Swiss franc is so like strong and like such a big financial anchor in a way? Like any idea when was it? Like when did Switzerland start using the Swiss franc?
I'm not sure if Lucius, who's the initiator and inventor of the Frankencoin protocol, who actually did his PhD thesis, which was the outcome. So the Frankencoin was the outcome of the PhD thesis of him.
Nice.
He would be able to probably answer that a lot better than I can. I would suspect that would be post Second World War. Maybe a bit before, when the whole banks, the Swiss banks, and the whole industry, Escher Escher is this industrial guy who founded Credit Suisse, for example, the predecessor bank of the Credit Suisse.
Wow.
When this infrastructure was built, when the Gotthard tunnel was built, so the tunnel through the Alps. But I, don't take me by the word. I'm not deep enough. Actually,
Never.
I have, I could bring another friend, very good friend of mine is currently doing his PhD on, like the history of democracy and with a focus obviously also on Switzerland. He would be able to answer that question, but he's not around, so I don't know. I can get back to you on that.
No rush. Okay, so what is Frankencoin? Like, how can you like summarize it maybe, and like what is it here to? What is it? What's its goal? What is it all about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Frankencoin is two things, I would say. Frankencoin is a stablecoin denominated in the Swiss franc. It's a Swiss franc stablecoin. Now, what it also is, Frankencoin is a CDP, is a collateralized debt platform, meaning it is working similarly to MakerDAO. You plop in some kind of collateral, and in turn, you can take out the loan, which is in form of the Swiss franc. That's it in a nutshell. Now, it is much more than that, though, because if you look at the MakerDAO, one big challenge MakerDAO had is that they were not really able to grow as much as they could have. And one big reason for that was the ability to use things as collaterals. Now, to be collateral on MakerDAO, among other things, you need to have very strong price feeds. Now, getting data on chain is non-trivial. That is called oracles. And you need oracles in order to liquidate. Now, we're talking about liquidations, and this is maybe, I mentioned before, Frankencoin is the result of 4 years of research, which was done by Lucius Meister as his PhD. It's public, and I can also share that thesis of his. It's a very interesting read. But one of the kind of key aspects he found was talking about liquidations. Being the second one to liquidate is often substantially worse in outcomes than being slow. What do I mean by that? If you have a market crash, usually it looks like this. It goes down very quickly, and then it goes up again for a bit. Now, if you're the first one, yes, you might save yourself. However, because of the nature of the blockchain, it's relatively slow. So you're very unlikely to be the first one. So, and in liquidations, you tend to kind of run into the falling knife. And in a majority of the outcomes, if you would wait for a while and liquidate only, let's say, 1 or 2 days later, you would have a substantially better outcome. Now, if you basically take this assumption away that you need to be the quickest to liquidate, you can start building very different liquidation systems. And that is what Lucius designed in his thesis. And this takes away the need for an oracle. So now we have an oracle-less decentralized CDP, collateralized debt platform for position. And this allows us now, this goes back to your question, DC man. This allows you to now have very different rule sets. You need.
Let's get into the question. Let's show the question to the audience. Hi, Johannes.
Exactly.
Did you know if Frankencoin is planning to create tokenized Swiss bonds? I think a lot of people will be interested to have a decentralized exposure to that kind of products.
There you go. Okay, and that goes two parts of it, right? So from a technical perspective, now without having to have oracles, we can actually have this kind of products because Swiss bonds, while in the traditional world they're extremely large and liquid, there's no market for that on chain or on a decentralized world. So there's no data on that right now. And running an oracle, because there's lots of different bonds, is not very feasible. At the same time, in Switzerland, you have this beautiful thing called the Swiss blockchain law. The Swiss blockchain law allows you to issue things like equity as a token. So we're not talking about tokenization anymore. We're talking about just, I found a company and I just say, well, now this share of that company is in form of a token. And anyone who holds that token has the same legal rights as if it would be an offline centralized kind of shareholder. Now, what does this allow us to do? Now we can suddenly have, collaterals which are real world assets, for example, bonds, in the system without having this whole legal inefficient cost, introducing central counterparty risk, and so on. Same. And in turn, now, getting back to, I will share these in a sec. If you now go back to what I said initially, right? I said currencies are basically representing the philosophical, political, and economical system of their country they're representing, or their geographical, or their group, whatever you might want to take, right? With the euro. And now we can suddenly start building this with the Swiss franc. So it's not the Swiss franc backed by crypto. It is right now because of, when first this market needs to be created and things need to grow. We have partial backing already by Swiss RWAs. You can find that on if DeFi Lama. It's all transparent, public, where you can check this out, what the actual collaterals are. But we can work towards exactly this: having a Swiss franc backed by the Swiss economy. Now, why is this relevant? From this is like, it's a philosophical question on one hand side, right? Which is, I feel, very relevant on the big topic. But why is it relevant short term? CDPs are extremely safe until the market starts correlating. So if you suddenly if one collateral goes bust, if you have done your risk management properly, that doesn't affect the system. Shouldn't. However, if all collaterals, for whatever reason, it starts correlating, and go down together, for example, then you have a real problem. And now looking at crypto, that's exactly what happens. If you, for example, look at the 12th of March 2020, my birthday.
Congratulations. I just had my birthday 3 days ago, by the way.
Well, that was 5 years ago, man. The 12th of March 2020 was 5 years ago. I'm not sure if you remember that, but it was a very dark day for crypto.
Yeah. Actually, that's pretty much the beginning of me getting interested in finance in general. I absolutely was a different person. I had no idea about anything. And to be honest, I'm not that smart these days. Like, I have a long way to go, but I was much more of an idiot back then. Like, magnitudes more of an idiot. To be honest. Magnitudes.
So what happened there is basically everything started correlating and everything went down at the same time. And that is where it's getting really tricky. And that is just typical, because the reason for that is simple. Many institutional players or larger investors, they see crypto as one thing. For them, and Bitcoin is the same as Ethereum, is the same as Ripple, is the same as Frankencoin, or even USDT. They would say it's the same thing. And that is problematic. Now, obviously, if you start having a kind of direct correction to that, to the real world or the real economy, as we were building with Frankencoin, that changes. You suddenly don't have that very strong. You still have a correlation, because countries also tend to correlate, but it's never as strong as what you would find, as in crypto, which makes the whole system a lot more kind of safe in the short run as well. So this is the idea we have with Frankencoin. Now, what is its use? It's two-sided. For one hand side, for the Swiss economy, we basically want to bring the Swiss economy on chain. Now, in Switzerland, you can have Frankencoin, you can have you yield there. As a company, you can tokenize part of your shares or your shares, and you suddenly access liquidity in a lot more efficient manner than what you would be able to do with the bank. You suddenly have a payment system which is 24/7 globally, which is instant settlement, as you have in crypto,
Wow.
at very low cost if you go to a layer 2. So that's one hand side, right? That is the Swiss kind of side to Frankencoin, where we're working very closely with many of the biggest and most important kind of local entrepreneurs, building up this phalanx, I always say, of people saying,
phalanx?
hey, yeah, this is, what is a phalanx?
Yeah.
Like a aggregation, a war aggregation, like a group who is standing behind Franco publicly, also saying, look, this is the real shit. This is not some dudes, trying to rock pull or whatever. But then on the other side, when I'm talking to a DeFi crowd, like yourselves, it's, then I'm representing Switzerland. Then it's, hey, do not de-risk into USD. It's a lot better to hold a Swiss franc. So, if you want to park your liquidity somewhere and you want to, de-risk a bit, go into Swiss franc. Get the 5%, go in there.
Question just for a minute. I can only assume that CHSF is the first stablecoin, like Swiss Franc stablecoin. Maybe the only one so far, or are there others?
There is a story on that as well. Now, Swiss franc stablecoins have been around for a while. None of them have had meaningful volume, and there's reasons for that. If you think about stablecoins, there's basically three ways to do that, or two big ones, which is either decentralized, as we or MakerDAO or Liquidity, and I shouldn't say we, it's Frankencoin, it's a decentralized system, and centralized ones like Tether or USDC and so on. Switzerland, how does Tether make money? Tether, you give them $1, they give you a token, they get yield on that dollar. You have a 6-7% yield on dollar. You don't get that, so they keep it. It's the most profitable company in the world. In Switzerland, you had negative interest rates for a long, long time. So there was no real business case for centralized stablecoins. There was some attempts, but not really. And then the FINMA this year published this very famous circular, basically saying, if you have a centralized stablecoin, meaning you have bank accounts or something somewhere, and you take money from someone and put it on their bank account, and you give them a token, and so they have this right to that dollar, that Swiss franc, you need a bank license. That per se is annoying, but solvable. But then they also said that to anyone who holds your token is a client of yours, because you basically have a claim against you. So you need to KYC them. And that, in fact, shut down all centralized stablecoin projects in Switzerland.
Really?
Now, currently there is one, a very small one, in Liechtenstein. It's basically a Swiss franc stablecoin from Liechtenstein, backed by, I think it's Russian money, or at least the team is mainly Russian.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Liechtenstein is is Liechtenstein in any way similar on all these regulation stuff and philosophy stuff to Switzerland in any manner?
So Liechtenstein is a very interesting case. Liechtenstein has the Swiss franc as their currency. Let's start there. However, they have their own financial market regulator, the FMA. They have their own laws. They are part of the European Economic Area, which Switzerland is not. But they're also not part of the EU. So it's so in a sense, MiCA kind of applies to them. But they're it doesn't. It's regulatory, this weird thing in between, I would say. I'm not a lawyer myself, so don't nail me on the details, please, here. But
same. I don't even know how to, so don't worry.
Yeah. 'Cause, 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 'cause,
Okay. But, I want to ask you, like, even before we get into like the technical stuff of like the Oracle free design and that, I actually want to ask you about, like, because it actually seems like a bit back to the geopolitics side.
Mhm.
I want to ask you about the fact that it actually just seems from afar that on quite a few levels and aspects, uh, Switzerland is just like a freer place, like with like they actually understand liberty to a much better degree than so many other places and regions and jurisdictions
Mhm.
around the world, which I'm sure is basically like you basically shared a lot
Yeah, I
about
mean,
that.
I would argue free is a very relative term. What does free
Yeah, yeah,
mean? Does free
true.
mean you can do whatever you want? Or does free mean everyone is protected? No one has to fear anything? Like, what does free mean, right? I think I believe, I always love that story. I've lived in Latin America
Ah,
for a
yeah,
part of my life.
well,
In
well.
Chile, in Peru.
Really?
Yeah.
By the
And
way, where in Chile? Can I ask where in Chile? Because I actually one of the few places in the world that I have was fortunate to travel was in South America, and probably been like to Chile like for like a month. You know where all the tourists go, like Carretera Austral and Pucón, the Porto Natales, that kind of
yeah,
stuff. Like
did you
it's
go to
such an amazing place.
Puerto Varas by any chance?
Puerto Varas? No, I don't think so. Where is it in Chile? It's in the
It's
north
next
or
to
where?
Puerto Montt in the south, just where Patagonia starts.
No,
No,
I don't think so. No.
I mentioned that because it looks like two. So if you basically, it's same. No, I was living in Santiago. I
Nice.
actually
Nice.
studied there for a semester as well, and then I just
Ah, wow.
came back and yeah. And so I love that city. I believe it's a beautiful mix of European and Latin American. Very
Really?
green, very safe. Well, Chileans would now start to argue against me here, but I believe it's safe. um,
Chile is
no,
beautiful, man. Like
the
I don't
story,
know how to say it in English even. Like the Andes mountain. How do they call it? Like
the Cordilleras de los Andes, like the
yeah,
Andes
yeah.
Mountains.
Like man, this is mesmer. Like for someone like me from Israel, you don't have you don't have like landscape like on that level, like on that degree. Like stuff is not that huge, you know.
Mhm.
Israel is beautiful, really. Like for
Mhm.
me, it's the most beautiful place in the world. Like, but it's not as extravagant and like huge as like you see the mountains of Chile. You're like, what is going on, man? Like,
Mhm.
where am I? Like, how is this even real? You know?
No, but why I was talking about Chile is, I love this example of, how to compare societies and cultures. Where
Okay.
I was living in that the building when I was, and we had a very beautiful pool, but they had a lot of very stupid rules. For example, you were only allowed to use the pool after 9 o'clock in the morning. You were allowed to bring one guest per week for 2 hours to the pool from the outside. Um, and then I asked
Man.
the Chileans, like, why the hell would you have these stupid rules? What, like, why can I not? I'm not harming anyone if I bring my friend from university and we sit by the pool and we study or we have a chat. It's like, and I go, no, 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 because if we wouldn't have those rules, everyone would abuse it and everyone would have party all the time there. Okay, and this is something you wouldn't find in Switzerland. Switzerland has, talking about liberty, a lot less rules. However, a lot more um, societal enforcement. What do I mean by
Yeah,
that? That you
yeah.
wouldn't have that rule.
Culture,
Like,
norms, culture.
so you would be able in Switzerland, you would be able to bring as many friends as you want to the pool. However, as soon as you would annoy a neighbor or be loud, you would get reprimanded. So it works the other way around. Like you don't have this codification and like rules all over the place, but it's a lot more about. In Germany, we
That's
have this nice term.
that's
In
such a good
actually,
point. Such an
part of the
interesting point.
law, nach bestem Wissen und Gewissen. Basically, it's
What
your
does it mean?
intentions which count. Like your intentions. I'm not sure. You probably even understand that if you speak Hebrew. Um, like with I mean, besten Wissen gewissen, like with best
This is
knowledge and
Yiddish. This is maybe if I spoke Yiddish like my dad.
yeah. um, with best knowledge and conscience. And that is kind of a guiding principle. And there's another very
Amazing.
interesting principle in Switzerland, which is the subsidiary principle, which says any legal thing needs to be kind of managed on the lowest level possible. What that means in reality is only if you cannot regulate something on a communal level, it goes to the cantonal level, and only if it cannot be managed or regulated on the cantonal level, then it goes to the federal level.
Nice.
Makes certain things very inefficient. For example, in the school system is not homogeneous in Switzerland. You have different school systems across cantons, but it goes into that same thing where it prevents federal overreach.
Yeah, it's important.
And things are a lot more
it prevents it also can probably prevent corruption in a way.
I'd just say the Swiss corruption is a lot more smooth, I think.
Like the chocolate, just
yeah.
like
exactly. So I wouldn't. Yeah. So, but that I think this very much explains this, like how you call it freedom. For someone who's coming from another country and comes to Switzerland and lives here, this is seen as like very harsh and cold in a sense, because you don't have the rules, but you have like the expectations, which are sometimes not even spoken out loudly, which are somehow from like you're just isolated in a society if you don't kind of behave, which is on a I mean, I think Switzerland has one of the highest suicide rates in the world.
Wow, really? Why is that?
Because
is
of
that
that,
any reason?
Societal pressure, like those unspoken
Really?
societal expectations, where if you don't fit in, you're kind of hammered down.
I actually used to think that this, and I am actually surprised because I didn't know any of that about like the Swiss society. I used to hear that a lot about like very collective societies, like in the Far East, for example. Like, is the society in Switzerland, would you say it's in a way a collective society more than?
That's a very interesting point. It's it somewhat yes, but to other extents no, I would say. Like, I mean, I know there's lots of those studies, individual / collective versus authoritarian versus egalitarian kind of societies, right? And usually, like Far Eastern societies, they're very collective, but also very authoritarian. Switzerland is, if you compare, for example, to Germany, probably more collective, but it is also a lot less authoritarian. It's this self-understanding of like the farmers from the mountains who fight against the king. Switzerland never had a king. Like the country
Really?
was not a nation.
Never?
No. There was, a bunch of people tried to rule us. Had Napoleon came in. You had the Romans at some point. You had the Austrians. And I mean, the Swiss national myths, and I know there's a bunch of Swiss people listening in here now. Wilhelm Tell, there is this story of this one farmer basically who goes up against the Austrian, the representative of the Hungary-Austrian Reich, the Habsburger.
Okay. When is that, by the way? Like, what year is this happen? Did this happen?
17th. I mean, it's part of the history of Switzerland. It's not. It's literally been. I mean, this is a story, right? I think this never really happened, to be honest. It's a story by a German of all places, really? Schiller, by a German writer who came up with this Swiss national story, plotting the Swiss against the Hungary-Austria, like the Habsburg. Man, yeah, I mean, we're going quite deep into history now, and I need to be careful not.
I'm actually, I don't know, maybe the audience doesn't like it, but for me it's so interesting. I just keep digressing and digressing. But like, how can it
has a lot to do with the understanding of Switzerland, which has a lot to do with the understanding of the Swiss franc, which has a lot to do with why we believe that the Frankencoin has a very, very big value and its position and its point in the DeFi space. I think it is very relevant. It's not relevant technically, but it is relevant to understand why, like, what is the case for the Frankencoin in DeFi.
That's
Full
so
stop.
good. That's so good. And I will use this opportunity before we continue with that, because we're already with 500 people watching the stream. So I kind of think that they enjoy our chocolate and liberty talk here about Switzerland, which is really such an unusual case, especially now that you've said that there was never like a king. And also, the more you keep telling the story, it sounds to me like on some levels, Switzerland is very decentralized, and because like
It is.
The society actually has like its values, it has its core, but because it's so decentralized, and maybe also because of its like topography and geography, it seems to me that it's not a very easy place for any kind of like foreign entity to start to come in and rule. By the way, I was also told a while ago, I have no idea if it's true, but I think it is, that many people in Switzerland are armed, like that it's kind of a norm in Switzerland to be armed. And like the more I learn about Switzerland, I'm starting to realize that it's such a unique place. It's not really similar to so many of the other places like in Europe or I'm told about. And you've really surprised me now when you've told me that there was never like a Swiss king. I would have 100% bet that there was one. But just before we continue, let me take a minute and present our brand new sponsors. I'm very excited about this one actually, because this protocol is a protocol that is very dear to me. I've actually been a part of their community booster programs, thankfully and gratefully, my biggest opportunity in crypto by far. I'm referring to Aladdin DAO, of course, those of you who don't know, and their new project, not the newest, it's not new anymore, it's about a year old at least, if not more than that, FX protocol. But the version 2 of it was just launched a few days ago, and only on January 13th, like the new expositions are going to be like available for user regardless of the migration. So first of all, you guys have on the top left corner, you can see our ref links for Leviathan Leviathan News. Whoever wants to use the new V2 by FX protocol. Shout out FX protocol. Really, we really appreciate this sponsorship at Leviathan News. It really assists us in bringing the kind of content that we want to do. We've been doing it for almost 2 years, basically with no like compensation or whatever. But we really try to build something, I think, a bit different from many media outlets out there. We really want to be like the media outlet of the community and by the community, and we are trying to create our participation economy model with Squid on Fractal, which is our token in which we like reward everyone who wants to participate, whether it's by submitting headlines, joining on streams. By the way, you are earning Squid right now as we are talking because you're participating on the show as well. And we see it as a contribution in bringing like value and like info to the community. So I will just show the FX protocol website for a second. Let me share the screen here, and then we can go back to our call. Actually, usually I do it at the beginning of the stream, but I actually think that it turned out quite for the better this time because we have far more people going on, and not to mention Swiss people. So not every day I think we have probably the amount of Swiss viewers that we have now. FX protocol. I definitely recommend people check the docs because it really it brings a new way of like a new intersection of leverage on one hand and stability on the other hand with their FXUSD stablecoin. You can check out the new interface. Shout out to the team. I really think they did a good job, and they really are trying to to create quite a big revolution with leverage trading, actually, with the new exposition. People can take up to 10x leverage with no personal liquidation risk. It's a very unique model and no funding fees. So if you're trading and you want to use leverage, I definitely recommend you check out the new version 2 of FX protocol. And also, if you just want to earn by holding a stablecoin, just like we do at Leviathan News with our FX USD, actually, I really recommend you check out their other side of the equation, not the leverage one, the stability one. And you can just go to earn, and you can stake your FX USD. Still quite high APR, over 20% right now. Check the docs, do your own research. Of course, this is a new protocol, just like any other. You should be wise with your wherever you put your capital and your money. But I really think that the guys and the team have done a very remarkable job trying to build something new. Shout out to the guys, Charlene, CryptoVestor, Pulse, Tao, Cyril, everyone. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy and shout out to all the community boosters such as myself. And if you like FX protocol, by the way, come and join the community booster. Just support however you can and let the team know. Join the Discord. And I really think that you will find it to be. Personally, I think it's the most rewarding thing I've done in crypto by far. And of course, if you want to use it, if you're learning about it through us, through Leviathan News, check out our ref link. It's over there on the corner, and no matter what, always use any kind of ref link because it just gives you a better deal. And shout out everyone. Thank you for the sponsorship. It really means a lot to us, and it really enables us to bring a lot more content, and it's just more fun to be able to actually earn something while you actually do stuff. So shout out and thank you very much. Okay, now let's get back to Frankencoin and the beautiful Switzerland we have. So you were mentioning Frankencoin and how Switzerland is such a unique case that really enables people to get a different kind of stability, which is not artificial. It's like a non-artificial stability. You know what I mean? It's like a proven version of stability that's like hundreds of years are proving this stability. So if I want you to explain to me and the audience right now, why is it better for someone, no matter where they are, if they want a stable coin, why should they consider holding a Swiss franc stablecoin like CHSF instead of the norm, which is holding any kind of stablecoin like a dollar stablecoin?
I mean, you have to be specific there, right? It is the comparison between the Swiss franc and the dollar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because 99% of the stable coins are dollar or certain derivative.
By the way, what's the what's the TVL or market cap of Swiss franc?
It's pretty small. So the TVL is currently about 30 million Swiss francs.
It's not that small.
34 million USD, I think, more or less.
Yeah, you're right. It's small relatively, but I would even have guessed that it's even smaller than that if I had to guess.
Yeah, it's a new project, right? It's we're just really going out to the world stage of DeFi now. I mean, this is my first ever stream I'm doing for Frankencoin. Yeah.
Nice. Respect to Leviathan News, man. Respect for Leviathan News for having you on. You're great at it, man. You should be you should do it a lot. I think that you have so much knowledge, and I think you enjoy sharing it. I do think you like talking about it.
I do. My son hates it though sometimes. No, actually, no, he doesn't. Like it's my wife.
I think my parents and my family and my friends sometimes they definitely don't like me talking as much as I do. But what can I say? I like it.
We have to get things out of our head, right?
It's fun. It's just fun. I don't think you can ever be a podcaster unless you really like talking too much.
Fair point.
Maybe a few, maybe a handful of people, but most of us, we just like talking too much and we're not that good at anything else. So
Yeah.
we open
But
for it.
to get back to your point, I know we're deviating a lot here. Is it's 30 mil TVL right now, growing by the day.
Respect.
And yeah, I mean, we're as I said, we're just literally just getting started. We launched, as you mentioned initially, we right now there's basically 3 collaterals live. Technically, there's more, but we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Curve right now, which you can mint.
Is it Bitcoin
Uh,
like a wrapped Bitcoin? I guess.
yeah, we have 2 flavors. We have wrapped Bitcoin and we have CB Bitcoin. We initially only had wrapped Bitcoin, but then for risk reasons, we said, well, let's start to slowly phase that out, and as we prefer not to have too much exposure to that, and that's why the community also proposed to add CBBTC. So everything is
Nice,
community driven, really. Um,
nice.
and so it's those 2 bitcoins. Then on the ETH side, there's wrapped ETH. There's LS ETH right now. And there's probably more flavors of staked ETH to come, because the beauty with staked ETH is that you basically get a yield on it, right? And that
Yeah,
makes your loan, in a sense, money making.
nice. I do want us to be like, before I interrupted you, you will just
Mhm.
start with the TVL question. You were just trying to explain to me like, why is the Swiss franc on at least some levels superior to the dollar?
I mean, as there's a philosophical and there is a mathematical answer to that.
Nice.
I
I
mean,
like
I
that.
think the philosophical reason we've dove into over the last 45 minutes. So anyone who's
Yeah.
been listening knows where that stability comes from. Mathematically speaking, I think the US dollar lost, I think, against 60% or 80. I think 80% in the last 50 years against Swiss franc.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's the mathematical reason to it. It's the Swiss franc is so much more harder of a currency over the longer term. Um, yeah.
Can't argue with the data, really. Can't
So
argue with the
that's
data.
but this is the thing is, okay, you can argue, well, okay, also I don't know, real estate or gold or whatever, but then the question is why, right? And obviously it has to do with inflation, it has to do with deficits, fiscal deficits, it has to do with money printing, um, but that ultimately has to do with how an economy works, and what the cultural and political framework is of said economical aggregation, as the eurozone. So yeah, I mean, it's a very nice comment from a 512 here. I mean, DeFi Llama doesn't even track Swiss franc stablecoins. Yeah, I mean,
Yet.
we'll get yet.
Let's add the word yet,
The Frankencoin is on DeFi Llama, right? You'll find us there, and it is updated, and you'll have all the information you need. But
And
there is
also,
just
it's such a
not
young
many other
thing.
projects.
By the way, how long does Frankencoin exist? Like, how old is it, Frankencoin?
Yeah, sorry, I quickly need to address a question. I'll get to you as well, but basically, 512M just asked, or basically stated, the Swiss franc USD has been pretty flat for the last 15 years. Yes, correct. Now, also look at what the Swiss National Bank did. It was against the euro, but it obviously also had an indirect impact on the US dollar. They were buying loads and 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 loads of euros to weaken the Swiss franc. So
Really?
for, I think, between '08 and 15, so for 7 years, the Swiss franc was kept artificially low by the Swiss National Bank,
Why?
because everyone was trying to get into the Swiss franc against the euro, like eurozone. That was a eurozone thing. So yeah, but the thing is, there is no real other stable contract. There's no other Swiss franc stable coins. There's literally just 2 right now. There's the CCHF, the Frankencoin, and there's the VCHF, which is the Liechtenstein version, very small, of a centralized version of the Swiss franc stablecoin. That's why I don't think it might make sense for that. But it's a good. I mean, it's a long term, definitely very good idea to have like a tracker which aggregates every stable of specific currencies, or baskets of currencies, or even gold or RWAs. So yeah, I mean, let's give that to the DeFi Llama team. They maybe should build that, but there needs to be market first. But yeah, back to your question. Remind me quickly. We're asking about something.
I actually think you've answered my question brilliantly about the why choose the Swiss franc both mathematically and maybe you can elaborate on the Oracle free design. I know that before the show you've told me that this is such an important point on your side. Maybe you can share a few words about that.
So once again, I just didn't.
Maybe you can share a bit about you remember that we talked before the show started, we talked a bit about the Oracle free design that you guys have chosen. Maybe if you can share with the audience and myself some of the benefits and advantages that you see in this design.
Mm-hmm. I mean, actually, the questions, maybe you want to post that question here, so with the 5% savings revenue goes into that. But I'll address that afterwards, DCA man. So Oracle free. I know for the ones who've been here since the beginning, I think I've touched upon that already. But one of the reasons why MakerDAO, and it's an amazing system, or Liquidity as well, cannot scale from where they are, is that they're very much dependent on oracles. Why do you need oracles? Because if you want to liquidate, you need to have a price feed. Otherwise, you can't automatically liquidate. Why do you need to automatically liquidate? Is because this is the assumption, you want to be as quick as possible to get out of a position which is not collateralized enough anymore. Now, the inventor of Frankencoin, it comes out of a PhD thesis done by Lucius Meiser, and his research he did at the University of Zurich is basically putting that up on its head. And the idea behind it is that if you look at all those liquidations happening and those crashes, often they look like this. They go down a lot, but then they go up somewhat a bit. So statistically speaking, often being the second one in a liquidation is the worst position you can be in. Being a lot slower, for example, a day or 2 days later, is very often a better outcome than being the second one. Being the first one obviously is often good. However, this is not really happening on chain because blockchains per se are slow, technically speaking, or relatively speaking slow. If you take now away this need to be quick, you can build a completely different way to liquidate without needing oracles. That's what Frankencoin is. Now, if you don't need an oracle anymore, you can suddenly start having a very different set of collaterals because your restrictions or your kind of universe you can actually choose from becomes a lot bigger because you can have a lot looser prerequisites of a collateral to make it economically secure. Now, why is this relevant? This is exactly was one of these reasons why those decentralized stablecoins could not scale as much or as quick as they were supposed to. But it also has a very different advantage, and this advantage is we've talked a lot about cultures and nation states and systems and so on, and a stablecoin or a currency is a representation of those values, and that's where its value comes from and its stability. Now, if you have crypto backing, the US dollar, in fact, the risk you're running is not the risk of the US economy. You're having something which is worth the USD, but in fact, the risk you're running is the risk of the underlying stablecoins, the underlying crypto. In Switzerland, we have this beautiful little thing called the Swiss blockchain law, which allows you to have on-chain securities like equities, for example.
Wow, really?
Which have exactly the same legal rights as a normal equity. So if you tokenize your company, you can just say, hey, now I want a part of my equity to be in form of a token, and anyone who's holding that token has now the exactly same legal rights as any other shareholder. There is no weird central counterparty risk. We're not talking about tokenization here. We're talking about issuing equity as a token. Now, when you
What's
have
the
that,
apologize, but what's the difference?
okay, when I talk about tokenization, I take something and I wrap it and I build a token on top. So typically what you would do, you would have some kind of entity which gives you promise that you can redeem this token for a share. But the token is not the share, it's only a promise.
Okay.
And this creates a lot of friction, a lot of inefficiencies. You don't have clear legal rights, for example. It doesn't mean that you're actually the legally owner of that thing, of the underlying. It's only a promise or like something around it. Now, if you actually issue these shares as a token, anyone who's holding it is legally exactly the same thing as a shareholder. You're a
Nice.
shareholder. Whoever holds a token is a shareholder.
Nice.
And
It's
this
a huge
allows
deal. It's actually a huge deal.
huge deal. It is a huge, huge deal. However, there's not been a market for it though. There is, and the reason is, why would you do that? Why would you need this thing? What do you do with this token? I mean, it makes things more inefficient in a sense because it makes things more transparent. And in smaller companies, you don't necessarily want as much transparency. You want to be able to move things around and stuff. So in the token, you're very transparent. It's a lot more strict. It's a lot more inflexible. That's why it hasn't really happened that much in the past. But now, with Frankencoin, you can suddenly start using this if you're large enough. If you basically have the economic stability needed to act as a collateral, and collaterals can have different sizes. You can be a collateral for a stablecoin, and you can gain liquidity. You can borrow against your equity, and that is a huge deal. Once again,
Cool. Like for some people, it's the game changer. Like they won't do it without it.
Exactly. So for most people, it's a game changer, right? Why else would you want to tokenize or issue your companies as tokens, your shares tokens? Now, on the other hand, what this brings us, apart from the ability to scale, it now suddenly makes the stablecoin backed not by crypto anymore, but by an economy. Why is this relevant? Good comment here on that, but I think this is for fundraising, right? There's sorry, maybe you just want to post the comment.
Which one? The last one by 512.
Yeah. This is a very, very good point, right? This is more
let's
for
just
fundraising.
read it. Another reason why there aren't that many security coins is because FEMA's rules around them are extremely strict compared to payment or utility tokens. We've tried.
Yes. Now here you have to be not careful, but to put some context, what you're mentioning here is the token classification, which FINMA I think released back in 2018, where they said, and this is pre-blockchain law. Blockchain law I think went into effect in 2021, where they said there's three types of token. You have utility tokens, which have no restrictions. You have payment tokens, which are like a currency, and then you have security tokens, which are to be treated the same as an equity. Now, if you basically issue equity on chain, that is not even a discussion anymore. This is a security. So yes, you have to adhere to the securities laws of Switzerland, obviously. This is not as much of an issue if you're not fundraising publicly. That is the thing. And it has some restrictions on trading. Yeah, it was just, you just basically, and trading, because as soon as you want to trade them on a centralized exchange, and this is actually, maybe a comment on FINMA, is that you need a license as, an exchange. Now, what makes it very stupid is that the Swiss blockchain law actually provides for such a license. However, I think FINMA until this day has not granted a single license to trade security tokens. So in fact, centralized exchanges cannot like onboard those tokens and trade those tokens. Beautiful thing, we're in DeFi.
Yeah, that's the point. That was the point, I think.
Right? But yes, you're right. It is a pain in the butt in the end. But look, this is the legal framework. This legal framework does make sense for certain reasons, and I think it is a question of time until the pressure becomes large and the industry becomes large enough, because the legal frameworks are there. Like the legal basis to actually be able to do that is there, and there's a reason why you need a license to be a centralized exchange and trading securities. There's a reason for that. It is just we're not there yet in implementation and making it a reality. But I'm still very hoping. Fair, like another very interesting question. So basically, you ask if TDX and SDX have that license. I'm not sure. I mean, SDX is a subsidiary of the Swiss Stock Exchange, which
What's
have a.
by the way, for those of us like myself who have no idea, what's TDX or SDX? Can you maybe?
I'm not aware of
shortly what?
TDX, to be honest. I don't know TDX. SDX is a subsidiary of the SIX, which is this kind of the Swiss Stock Exchange.
Okay.
I'm not sure how, because they've existed pre this license even being available. I mean, they most likely have kind of the license of their mother house, which is the full license as a stock exchange, which I think is, and once again, I'm not a lawyer, please don't nail me on that,
Yeah.
is kind of the higher license than the one which is just to trade decentralized assets, because you have a lot more operational risks on trading centralized stocks, like traditional stocks, in comparison to crypto, where you don't really have to worry about many like settlement and that kind of things, because it's a lot easier technically speaking. I'm not aware of TDX. Maybe TDX has now the license. At least, I mean, they're not live. And also SDX, there's no liquidity, there's no volume there. There's nothing really happening, at least with SDX. Not aware of TDX.
By the way, you want maybe to get back to the there was a question by DCA about the 5% yield. I know you wanted to address it. Let me just read it out loud for those who will who will only listen to the episode, like on Spotify, for example. By the way, we are on X, on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. Really appreciate your time listening to us. We really enjoy doing it. I'm having actually an amazing time with Johannes here. I'm surprised that it's your first podcast, man, because really you're a natural at it. DCA, a good friend of the show, and actually a great online friend of mine. Shout out DCA, man, a fellow Llama. Where is the 5% savings revenue come from for the ZCHF? Are there any plans to boost this yield, or doing that will break the boring tests?
Man, you are asking good questions. No. I mean,
He's smart.
where the
He's
first
smart.
part of the question is not the hard one. The second part is, look at it's very simple. If you borrow money on Frankencoin, so basically you collateralize and you borrow Swiss francs, you pay an interest rate and pay an interest on that. That's where the yield comes from. Very simple. It's no secret, weird tokenomics, whatever. It is literally, you take out the loan, you pay an interest on that loan, we pay out a part of that loan, a part of that, which is the margin, that is, basically to keep making the system more stable, and incentivizing the governance token, the FPS. So there is another token, which is called the FPS, is the Frankencoin pool share, which, as I said, it's a completely decentralized system. So the FPS is basically taking over the governance of the system. It's a veto system. So if you want to add a new collateral, for example, anyone can propose that, but then it can be vetoed by FPS holders. If you want to change any interest on a system, that is also once again done by FPS holders and so on. And this FPS is liquid. It's we basically trade against the system itself. It's other part of Lutzio's thesis. It's the continuous capital corporation. Pretty interesting stuff as well, which is basically bonding curve that guarantees you liquidity, so you can always go in and out of the FPS. But any margins, any money made by the system goes into that, we can call it tier one capital, which is also the capital which is used should the system become under collateralized to recollateralize the system. So that is where it comes from. Now, that's where the yield comes from. It is literally interest rate paid by borrowers. On the other hand, are there any plans to boost this yield, or doing that will break the boring thesis?
Good question.
This is the hard part. We're constantly thinking about how can we make the system attractive to people. What are people really looking for? Now you can use it to leverage stuff, right? You can leverage your thing. Most likely, there will be things built on top of Frankencoin which actually make your yield bigger.
Really?
By leveraging stuff, by basically you can,
nice.
You can use interest differences between this and other systems to, I don't know, you mint with Bitcoin, you pay 6%, and then you sell or you go to a curve, right, and you change it to USDT, and then you get like 40% interest on your USDT or whatever. There's loads of ways how to do like cycling, and I don't think anytime soon we will start playing that game because of like boosting yield, because I believe it is not a very sustainable game to play. Maybe we will. Maybe
it doesn't necessarily, just like DCA was saying, it doesn't necessarily fit the culture, but
exactly.
Guys are, but you're right about the fact that DeFi is so composable that someone will probably just build it itself because it's possible to build on top of Frankencoin. That's what really makes DeFi so crazy,
Yeah, we're seeing ourselves as the protocol, or not we, like Francoin, or the Francoin Association sees Francoin as the protocol which is in the background. Like, it's stable, it is representing that economical stability, making sure that there's a lot of variety, and the risk management is done properly on the collateral side, being a very attractive way for companies to come in, or for projects to come in as collaterals, and that anyone who's holding the Swiss franc, or the ZCHF, can really rely on it being secure and stable, and like having Swiss francs, man. Like, it's having Swiss francs. What else can I say?
Yeah. Just like you've articulated throughout the whole interview, it's a different mindset to hold like stable coins in general, and specifically to get into Swiss francs. I gotta tell you, man, I'm interested. Like, in a way, it's still so new, but it's such a game changer, and you do bring up like a lot of interesting and valid points about the fact that the Swiss franc is a proven stable coin. Yeah, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I want to. You want to add anything, because I actually want to ask you some stuff myself as well.
We have some bunch of questions on FPS coming in.
Go ahead, go for them. Like, I really enjoy the fact that we're getting asked so many questions. It really shows like that the audience really likes to hear you and wants to know. Which one do you want me to highlight now?
Probably the last one.
The last one by DCA.
I don't want to shill anything here, and this is a governance token, right?
This is the governance token of Frankencoin.
Yes.
It's already out.
Yes.
Nice.
It's a completely decentralized system. That's what I'm saying. It is. So the
Let's
FPS.
just read the question, Johannes. You want to read it yourself?
No,
You want me to read
you're a
it?
lot better at that than I am. So you
I
read, I
highly
reply.
doubt
Okay.
that, but I will. But just for those who are only listening and not watching, DCA is asking where can we buy the FPS token? Can we do it in a decentralized manner, or do we need to KYC? And thank you for your time and answers. Very much appreciated. I'm having a great time. Thank you, DAdvisoor too. Shout out this really enjoy, and I agree with you, man. Johannes, I thought it would be a fun interview, and I will enjoy talking Swiss francs with Johannes. I had no idea that it would be that interesting. And shout out Johannes yourself. Brilliantly done, man.
Thank you so
Take
much for
it.
having me here, man. It's
I
really
enjoy
really
it.
cool.
I enjoy it, man.
So yeah, as I just mentioned previously, FPS, you basically it's made, the market is made by the protocol itself. So you can mint and redeem rather than buy and sell FPS with ZCHF. How does it work? Right, as I said, you have, we call it the equity, the equity reserves, which is all the money which is flown into the system. That is, on one hand side, investors who paid in, or like who minted FPS, but this is also any fees generated by the system. So this margin, like let's assume you pay 7% interest rate, and you pay out 5% savings rate. That leaves a 3% margin in the middle, and this 3% is in fact the money the system makes, and that goes into those reserves. And there's another question for FPS coming up, but and that is where the value of the FPS comes from. So you can at any time mint and redeem your FPS. There's always a guaranteed liquid market.
Nice. Let me just read the question here by Kula Daje Fula TV. Apologize if I'm not reading it right, because that's really an original name. How exactly does FPS work? As in, how does it control how changes to Frankencoin, main contract, proxy, whatever occur? How does it prevent a single entity from deploying changes? Good question indeed.
That's a beautiful one. Yes, anyone can propose anything. And
you mean anyone? You mean as a token holder?
No,
Like you mean
no, anyone.
Really?
Yeah, you can now go and propose a new collateral. You have to pay 1,000 ZCHF, which is kind of preventing spam. But anyone can go and propose, changes to the system, and the whole governance. And that is once again part of that PhD research. One of the big problems governance has, that positive governance, meaning like a certain number of people need to vote for something to pass, doesn't really work. It just in crypto, it leads into very very limited circles of users to control systems and to be the only ones to be able to change things. Instead, on Frankencoin, you have a negative governance. What does that mean? Is that anyone can propose, depending on what you're proposing. For example, a change to the smart contract. Basically, you can't change everything in the smart contract, but you can propose, in a sense, new minting updates. For example, the savings module is one of those, which was just proposed in December. Anyone can propose it, but then as soon as at least 2% of time-weighted holders, so the longer you hold your FPS, the more voting power they get. At least 2% of the voting power vetoes, and they also can, several people together can make up this 2%. Vetoes a proposal, it gets denied. If no one vetoes it, it is accepted after this preset time, which depends on what it is basically implemented. That's how FPS works, and that is also how this basically prevents single entities from just deploying stuff, because anything is subject to this veto process. Once again, it makes the system slower, but as if you remember what I said before, Frankencoin is built around this assumption that quicker is not necessarily better.
Just like Switzerland, it
Yeah.
seems. Yeah. It really
This is
resonates
all,
with
it's a pretty fascinating. There is a lot of kind of small nitty gritty details, for example, with that after you acquire your FPS, you have a certain cooldown period in which you cannot vote because there's a lot of potential economic attacks which are basically made to disappear by this slowness. By have to wait a week before anything can be, any smart contract can be changed and so on.
Thank you, Kula. I know that you asked me on the previous comment to not read your name. It's a meme, but what can I do? Thank you for the great questions. Will a VOD of this stream be available? I'm not sure what it means, but all of our
video
streams
demand,
are, of course,
basically.
can be. You can, of course, go to our YouTube at Leviathan News, check out all the streams there. They should also remain on our X account if you scroll and find them. They're supposed to be there. It's also available on Spotify, but I think the best way to watch it again is on YouTube. Of course, subscribe as well. Definitely recommend it. By the way, it's extremely irresponsible of me. I'm obviously rusty. Maybe we haven't even shown the Frankencoin website yet. So
yeah, I mean, you want to
let's try to do it.
Let me
apologize for only now thinking about it. Only an hour and 21 minutes into the stream, but thankfully, I hope our listeners are patient. This is the website itself, Frankencoin. Frankencoin, collateralized Oracle-free stablecoin that tracks the value of the Swiss franc. Its strengths are its decentralization and its versatility. You got all the socials over here. Total value locked currently. Now again, ZCHF is like the actual name of the Swiss franc, like the ticker of the actual Swiss franc.
Yes, of the Frankencoin Swiss franc.
You can see that it's 28
it went down. I said 30 million, but I basically wasn't aware that the crypto market crashed as hard as it did.
Yeah, but it's like 34, 28, like why be petty, it's basically the same thing. We're in crypto. It's not the three core functions: pay, mint, earn. Actually, a very slick website, I must say. By the way, I'm hearing are you guys going to be on multiple chains? Are you already on multiple chains?
We are.
I actually thought that it was only on mainnet. Nice. So you can actually do it on Ethereum already, Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism, Base. Wow, you guys are all over the place.
Now there's a caveat here. So all the functions I was talking about are on mainnet.
Yes.
Basically on the other EVM chains, on the layer 2s, you only have the CCH, so only the Swiss franc. You don't have governance and minting and so on.
Okay.
Right. Okay. But we're working on changing it as well, because, for example, the savings rate, we want you to be able to to get a yield on any chain.
So what can people do what can people do with it on the L2s? What is available on the L2s?
This is Swiss franc. The CCH.
Just to hold it. You mean to just hold it?
Yeah, you can exactly.
Okay, but if they really want the benefits of participating in governance or actually getting into the savings program, for now they should do it on mainnet.
Correct.
That's great, but I'm pretty sure that you guys will have some updates there in the future with the pace that it seems that you guys have been going. A great explanation here on the Frankencoin system. Token classification.
Token classification is wait, go up a bit quickly, please. Token classification isn't interesting, right? Because I was mentioned in here before, right? It is classified as a payment token in Switzerland.
Okay.
Also, it is fully compliant with MiCA. So nice. It is, that is the nice thing. It's just you can use it, right? There is no restrictions really.
I must tell you, Johannes. I don't think I've ever talked to a project which is that young but is so like you guys came out blasting with everything prepared. You know what I mean? Like
Hey
you
man,
don't joke. You
overnight
don't joke around. You don't joke
successes
around.
take years to make.
Man, I like. I'm becoming more and more fascinated about this whole thing more and more. At first, like again, I wanted you on the show because I just thought it was cool to see like a Swiss franc stablecoin. But the more we get into it, I actually realize that just like you said, overnight success doesn't happen. It takes years of making, and you've obviously launched this product and like suite of products, or however you say that in English, thinking about a whole lot of stuff in advance and preparing, and also with such it seems such a strong like regulatory framework going in your favor. I think so many projects, especially in DeFi, they launch and they're maybe like extremely innovative, but they don't have all that side of things, like the connection to the real world side of things. Often it's really like ambiguous and you've no idea what's going to actually happen with it or whatever. And with you guys it definitely seems that you've laid the groundwork for it to really like be able to moon. We have the Q&A section here. Anything specific you want us to go for on the Q&A, by the way?
No, I mean, I'm here also answering questions. You don't need to read the Q&A, man.
Yeah. No, maybe you just did it.
However, what I would like to do, I'm a big fan of show don't tell. So if you want to go into the app quick, if you click on launch
Yeah,
app,
for
top
sure.
right,
I will just go to the app.
maybe while you do that, there's one question by Kula. Are there any works on getting Frankencoin to popular payment gates? Yes, there are. Most definitely. So this is one of the
what does it
big
mean, by the
things.
way, popular payment gates? What does it mean? What does it mean, payment gates? On
On
ramps.
ramps. Where do you get Frankencoin? That is so any like we're working with the Frankencoin Association in the background quite a bit to help the system there. This is super important. So if you have any specific one you might be very interested in, send it my way, man. Send it my way.
By the way,
We
if you want
are
to find,
already. I mean, one comment here in Swiss. If you are Swiss based, we do have an on ramp with DFX, which is zero fees, which is a bit of a
what is
secret.
DFX, by the way? What is DFX?
DFX is a Swiss on ramp provider, so you can basically send your Swiss francs from your bank account, and you get CHF at zero fees. You send 100 Swiss francs, you get 100 CHF.
Nice. I really like that. Like
so yeah, but so this is. I mean, I know this is very much a Swiss thing. But if you're Swiss, that is really, really, really cool. And it's also available in Germany and Europe, by the way. But yes, we're working on getting this out, getting this to you, because we just have this very strong belief that DeFi has to have a Swiss franc. Like, come on, guys.
Man, I'm beginning to think that you guys are righter than I thought, and I'm starting to think like, when is this thing is going to be at 1 billion? You say you're 28 million by now.
Mm-hmm.
I see this as 1 billion by the end of the year, but I'm always optimistic. There's no idea how. Maybe we can just before we get into the next comment by Kula, maybe show us a bit around the DApp itself.
Exactly.
Okay,
so if you start
have,
from the left, exactly right. Today, in a sense, three.
Let's go for the. Sorry, I should go back to the launch.
Exactly. There's
okay,
three
borrow.
big.
The first page is the borrow one. Mint fresh Frankencoins. It's so funny, the Frankencoins, like with the Franken, like because immediately I think about Frankenstein. You don't even think about. It's kind of funny, and you can see that there's all kind of types of collateral. I will use this opportunity to ask you, man, how do you explain the fact that CRV is like you don't often see CRV being chosen that early for?
We like it. So the reason there is this was coming from the community, right? This is as I said, it's a decentralized system. This was coming from the community. Nice. CRV is basically having all kind of the factors needed to act as a collateral. And I mean, there's no reason not to do it, really. It's like, and we just launched a CRV pool as well. So there's I think some community members, they're looking on ways on how to actually boost and use this to boost their own yield. But yeah, so
okay, and if I press mint, for example,
exactly. So let's you mint Frankencoins. You would hear now. Let's say if you want to. Yeah, he moved. There's some comments here. I think he's aware of Frankencoin, Mikhail Egorov. To be very honest,
yeah, he probably is. He probably is. By the way, for those who don't know, the company or the entity, I'm not even sure what it's called, like supporting CRV. I think it's called Swiss AG or Swiss AGI.
I think it's called Swiss Staking AG.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It is also based in Switzerland. There's a strong connection there. So I can't say that I'm surprised as well, but just like Johannes is saying here, Mitch will see this liquidate the rest of the CRV bag. Mitch knows what it's doing, like at least on our, like from where we're sitting. And definitely, like, again, not financial advice or whatever, but what can I tell you? For me, there's no one like Mitch in the industry. Shout out, Mitch. Thank you for all you're doing. I actually think that my life, at least, you're completely changing, and shout out to you. And man, I'm fascinated about what's going on here. 5112 is also saying entity is called Swiss Stake AG. Thank you very much. 512. Appreciate the correction here. What were you saying, Johannes?
Yeah, let's make it just on because I think he has to leave, Mr. DCA. He has one question.
Okay, let me
regarding Mont Pelerin. So there is
this one
soon TM. Soon TM.
One last question. Any plan to do a collaboration with Mont Pelerin? I will ask you what it is in a second. I think there's a great platform to do on and off ramp and having a crypto IBAN. What's Mont Pelerin, by the way?
Mont Pelerin is one of the largest Swiss on-ramps.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool company. Now they have a really cool thing, and let me maybe share this with you, DCA man. I have this vision, and we're not going to build it. Or like as a Frankencoin association, please, if someone does, amazing, do it. I want to have an app for Swiss people in which I can receive my Frankencoin. I can get my 5%, yield on it. I can use this to have. Let me show you something here. Yeah.
Let me just maybe just let me stop sharing the screen for a second so we will actually see you.
So basically, I want to have a card, right, where you can pay with no fees.
Is that a CRV card?
No, this is a Gnosis Pay card. This is Gnosis Pay.
Shout out Gnosis Pay. Come on the show, Gnosis Pay. Like how long until we have it? Like Leviathan is 2 years old and we still haven't had you on. Like
I want to be able to, because for the Swiss people here, they know, right? We have this weird Swiss payment system called QR codes payment bills, where you just scan your QR code and you pay your bill. And Mont Pelerin, what they actually do is they allow you to pay it in crypto. So you upload your Swiss bills, and then they tell you, hey, now you can just send us crypto and we pay your bills for you. What that means, you don't need a bank account anymore. I want to have this experience seamless with Frankencoin.
Nice.
Right? And then with the IBAN, if you have that, you don't need a bank account anymore. You have 5% yield. You have a card to pay. You can pay wherever you go. You can pay your QR code bills. Man. You can send money. What else do you need?
We're approaching the future, it seems, huh? Like future is around the corner.
So that's why I'm saying, this is great question, Issa, man. So soon TM.
Amen. Really appreciate that. I can see that. Okay, DCA definitely likes that. Shout out, guys. Thank you so much for being so active on the chat. It really changes the stream completely, especially when we have a guest like Johannes, which is so aware of the chat and really responds to it on the go. I really enjoy that, Johannes. Thank you so much. Like, you should know, this is not a common thing. Like most guests, they aren't that responsive with the comments, but especially when you do a live stream, this is such a big game changer, because this is not like a pre-recorded interview where it's only like, the question that I want to ask you, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just answer that, and then it strips. Us at Leviathan News, we basically always do live stream. Every once in a while, we have a pre-recorded show, but 99% of our content is live streamed. And when we have such participation, just like we say that we want to have like the participation economy model, where we want people to submit headlines, they come on the stream and whatever, we should actually find a way to reward people who are like asking like this kind of brilliant questions. I should talk about it with the guys. This is actually making the stream so much better. And shout out to you, Johannes, for being so responsive to it. You're doing a brilliant job, in my opinion. Kula is enjoying it. Holy shit, that sounds awesome. I agree. He's saying something about as in QRs. Let's see what he's saying here about that. In Poland, we have shout out Poland. My father's parents, like my grandparents from his side, God bless their memory, they come from Poland. One of the, like my my grandfather, which I'm called, like my full name is includes his name as well, is from a village called Dubna, and my grandmother from that side is from Warsaw. So shout out Poland and everyone over there. In Poland, we have BLIK, BLIK, which are 6-digit codes. You just input 6 digits in the payment gate and accept in your bank app. Didn't see any site that would generate you a code and auto accept it after receiving a crypto payment though. Not sure if BLIK even it doesn't show the whole thing. Not sure if BLIK even would allow that. Anything to say about that? Are you familiar with that, Johannes?
I'm not. I'm unfortunately not. I mean, push the regulator, I guess that is the question there. I can only really talk for, and this is probably one of the gripes I have with this, that is those payment systems and bills. Why are they so, like, we're in a global world, why can we not find a global standard? Why does everyone have to make up their own weird little tools and things? We have crypto works all over the world. Like, why do you have to now?
So true. If you build it, they will come. I think that's the sentence for that. And just like Johannes is saying here constantly, it's all about people taking the initiative and build. Like that's the whole point of DeFi. I think that maybe one of the most amazing things about DeFi is the composability aspect, and the fact that people can actually build on what another team is building without even having to talk to them or knowing them or asking for any kind of permission. That is why I think that that is one of the reasons that DeFi is just unstoppable. And I know that someone like myself, although I'm so like my understanding of it is so narrow, but it's just like, how can someone stop the hive mind? How can someone stop the collective effort of people who don't even know each other but just enjoy what the other is building? Really, banks in their current form, like their traditional form, they just don't stand a chance. Like, I apologize, not financial advice, but they don't stand any kind of chance. 512 seems to be enjoying the stream. Thank you for answering your questions. Weren't annoying, man. You guys are doing a brilliant job. I think the streams, when we have so many questions from the stream, it really shows, first of all, that you guys are interested in what's going on, and it just adds so much to the stream, to the feeling of it. Shout out to all you guys, and just guys, just share the stream as much as you can. Like, subscribe, whatever. It really helps us grow, and we really, really appreciate it. Kula is also doing an amazing job on this one. Was mostly a comment to that Swiss QR thingy. Man, you guys are just great today. I want to go back to what was that? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, excited. I was just like, let's go back. We're talking a lot, but I'm more about show than tell. So let
me get to the share screen back for a minute. Just a second. I think it's here, this one. Just a second. Okay. So we're at the borrow section, and how do we do it? we've shown this one. You want me to go to the my positions there? Or
No,
what?
let me just give you a quick overview on
Go ahead. Go
thing.
ahead.
So there's basically three parts to it, right? You can borrow, you can save, and you have the whole equity/governance side of things. Now, obviously, if you go in, you want to create new or mint new Frankencoins. That's where you do. You can see here we have BTC, we have Curve, and there's basically some flavors of ETH. You have wrapped ETH, you have liquid staked ETH. Now you will see multiple of the same positions because they like how the system technically works is that you create the position and you decide on your own like what the maturity, for example, is, and at what the liquidation price, and depending on that, you have to provide collateral and make it less or more secure, up to a certain level, which is the master collateral. You can basically be less secure than that. And let's try an example here. With the CBBTC, if you just want to click on the first line here on the right hand side, if you click on mint.
Okay, sorry. Just a second.
Right, so you would go in here. Let's say you want to take out 6,500 Swiss francs. You want to mint that. You would have to provide 0.1 Bitcoin. And you can decide here like how long do you want to take that loan.
Nice.
And then on the right hand side, what you see is if you've mint 6,500 Swiss francs, you don't actually get this paid out. What you get paid out is 4,186. Because what happens is that the interest is basically subtracted upfront. So in this sense, it's 15.15%, which is like a 3-year loan you take out. You can also make it shorter if you want to. And there is a 20% reserve, which is locked in the system, which basically makes the system more secure.
Nice.
Then you mint it, right? And then you get your Swiss francs. Now, if we go on, now you have your Swiss francs, you go on the savings.
Okay, so savings column.
Which is very simple, right? Here you lock, you have your 1,800 Swiss francs you just minted, plop it in here, and then you get your 5%. So that's
just very simple. And you start earning.
Exactly. It takes 3 days. So this is 3 days. Once again, the system is slow. So you have a 3-day
classic
kind of warm-up period. And after 3 days, you will start.
Why is that, by the way? In order to avoid bots and all kind of stuff?
Exactly.
Cool. You guys really thought through a lot of all this stuff, and I admire that a lot.
Honestly. And then if you go on, if you click on equity now,
can I ask you just a small side question? Like, how many people are a part of the Frankencoin association? Like, you guys are not like this is not a small thing. I thought initially maybe it was a small thing, but I'm starting to think that this is not small at all.
It is small, but it's very, very high powered.
Yeah. Man. Okay, you want me to go to equity, right?
We have one question, yes, but let's stick on savings. There's just a question there by 512.
Okay, let me just try to show it on the last one with the DSR or the one before?
Yes, the last one.
Let's read it. 5112 with another great question. And is the savings rate not exogenous like DSR on Maker, or is it market determined? Nice.
The savings rate is set by the community.
Whoa.
So it's basically, it can be changed with a vote.
Which we will soon maybe show on the governance section,
yes.
I'm guessing.
Correct.
Nice,
Correct.
Nice.
So it is basically, it's set exogenously.
Cool.
Now, if we look here now we're on the savings. Now, if you go to equity, that's where, many people were mentioning the FPS before. And where you can get it and what you do with it. So the FPS, that's where you get the FPS. If you scroll down a bit, you will see the whole system.
All right, guys, pay close attention. Again, not financial advice or whatever, but if you do want to get the governance token of Frankencoin called FPS, Frankencoin pool shares, now I understand finally why FPS. This is the section where you get it on the Frankencoin app on the equity section.
Exactly. So if you scroll down a bit further, on the right-hand side, you basically see all the kind of the KPIs. right? You see the reserve, which is kind of what we've seen just before of the people who've minted stuff. You see the total income, bottom left, which is that is the money which the system has generated so far, ITD. You have the spendings, which is basically actually not many people are saving at the moment, because most people, they do something with it, they just don't lock it. So that makes obviously the income a lot higher of the system, because there's no many spendings and going out.
Yeah.
And then you have in the middle this thing called equity capital. Equity capital is, you could say, basically everything which has been paid in plus the total income. So the mint reserve, which is the money which has been paid in by buyers of the FPS plus the income. So that kind of increases all the time. And now what is the beauty of it is that the market cap is hard-coded as 3 times the equity capital.
How come? Why is that?
This is an economic theorem. You can read it why we chose 3. But basically it's this idea that a company is always worth 3 times its equity capital, like it's tier 1 equity in a bank.
Really?
It's an assumption. It's an assumption, which works really well in our case. And that means that you can always mint and redeem for that price. So you can go up, and at any time you have an FPS, if you click on where it says set CHF amount, on the right there's a drop down. On the right hand side, you can switch that to FPS. You can always sell your FPS. Nice. You have guaranteed liquidity, because you trade against that market. It's responding.
Okay. So you basically know that you're not actually liquidity with this system.
Yes. And it's decentralized. We don't control the majority as an association, right? We don't have any vote.
Seriously. You guys really took the whole thing very seriously. You're not joking around. I'm enjoying this, man.
This is, in a sense, it's costing us as early stage people a lot of money, because we can't dump on anyone really.
Yeah. But I actually think that in the long run, the smart community, like smart money, will really appreciate this.
Yeah, but that is also why FPS is not, in a sense, that 100x like short-term thing, but it is a very sustainable. It's Swiss once again, right? It is. You can calculate. Let's say you have 100 million.
This is a league of its own, man. Like this is the pros over here. Like
let's assume we have 100 million CHF minted. Looking at the current. Another very good question come up there. I'll address that in a second. 512. Basically, what was I saying?
You were saying about
so you can make the calculation. Let's assume we have 100 million Frankencoin minted. Okay. That means if you assume a 4% or 3.5% to 4% margin, which is very reasonable, that makes $4 million of income a year. That system. And now make the calculation what the price impact of that will be, and you basically know what kind of investment you get into. So this is a lot more behaving like a more mature kind of system, where you can say, okay, if basically this is achieved, that's what I will get, instead of hype on the other side. So that's what really Frankencoin is. Now, how does
this is the question?
How's the thing financed? How does, the last question by 512? It's a very good one.
This one. So the association is dependent on grants from the DAO for funding, a bit like Curve?
No. Well, this might at some point be the case. Right now, the association is completely separate from the DAO. So the funding comes from certain Swiss entrepreneurs who are members of that association, who have an interest that Frankencoin is successful.
So basically, it's self-funded right now. Basically, it's self-funded.
Yeah. There's no money coming out of the protocol to fund the association.
Wow. And I'm sure that you will shortly, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that maybe this will one day change through governance.
Maybe. We don't know, right? But we believe we want to have it as clean as possible.
But that's like the way to change it. I mean, like the way to
Yes.
change it will be through governance, obviously.
Exactly. So if you go in governance, it's actually very good handover to the governance. Here you can see, right? You have like right now there's no votes open, but if would be like a new collateral proposed, it would be here, and you could veto it. That's also if you go up a bit. Down that's a base rate. That's where you change that rate. You could now propose a different rate.
Oh, really?
That's cool. And then you have all the modules.
What does it mean? Like people are. Okay, this is like the past governments vetoed, passed. Everything is written.
Exactly.
Frankencoin pool share. It also like shows which. What is this address holding 19%?
It's a very good question. That is a very good question. I wouldn't even know.
But it's very transparent to see like the whole list of addresses. I really like what you guys have done, man. This is very transparent, a very clean website. So much information in it, the different sections. Can I ask you about what is the like? You want to show anything else about the governance? Because I actually want to ask you about the auctions here.
Yes. No, governance. That's like governance is where things are being changed. So if you would want to create that grant function, anyone could come and propose that, and then it would be a vote in governance.
So how do for example, how do I just propose something?
Depends what. If you want to propose a new module that you cannot do by the front end, it's actually you have to do the smart contract calls directly, because it's something which is very technical, and we don't want just there's a bit of a technical hurdle, because that is not something you should not propose.
You don't want any spam
minting module without having like as we the association does it. If we develop that, there's 2 separate independent audits on that. So this is like a big thing. But let's assume you want to propose new collateral. You go to borrow. You scroll all the way down. Propose new position.
Nice. By the way, shouldn't it also be on the governance? Like I would put this button also on the governance section.
Yeah,
maybe it will be.
I mean, people like from a UX perspective, people they go to borrow and they see, oh shit, I want to actually borrow against this collateral which is not there. So that's where they would usually go looking for it. So if you click on it, you see that you pay $1,000 if you go on top. You have to pay $1,000 fee.
$1,000 or 1,000 ZCHF?
1,000 ZCHF to actually even propose something, which is kind of to prevent spam.
Yeah, amazing. I actually.
And then you choose. You basically you set the different parts and you propose it. That's it. Right. You have
this is amazing. This is really cool. Can I go to the auctions?
Please go to the auctions. Now there's no auctions.
What does it mean? What are auctions?
Okay, I will show you. So go to monitoring.
Monitoring.
Okay, monitoring. Those are all the positions which are currently open. Now,
all the borrowed positions, you mean?
Exactly, all the borrowed positions. You could, if you would now, and that is where the liquidation comes in, right? Because there's no automatic liquidation. If you now believe, obviously, this 111% you have here, and this come quite a bit down because the market crashed now. This means, so now if you would believe, this is external, right? This we're pulling that data, but this is not on chain, it's not automatic. That is because of how the whole system is built with the no oracles needed. But if you would now believe that any of these positions actually is worth less than the liquidation price they've set, then you can challenge it. You click on challenge.
On the first one, you want to
anyone? Just click on one, and you see the position, right?
Challenge.
And then you can launch a challenge. To launch that challenge, you need to own that same token. So if you want to basically challenge 2 wrapped Bitcoin, you would have to own 2 wrapped Bitcoin. You can also only challenge a part of it. And then in the first phase, the other person needs to buy that position from you at the liquidation price. So in here, the liquidation price is, I think, is set to 75.
You were it got cut for a minute. You need to own, like you said, you have to have 2 reps BTC, and then what?
And then you can open a challenge.
Okay.
And then this other person, like the holder of your position, the holder of that position, needs to buy this 2 wrapped Bitcoin at his liquidation price, at the 75,000 ZCHF.
Because you're actually like trying to buy it from him or something like that?
No, basically you're saying, hey, dude, you're claiming this thing is worth 75K. I don't believe you. The only way you can show me that you're for real is by buying it from me at that same price.
Wow.
So that is, look, if he then buys, or that holder buys this position for 75,000, and now we're getting very technical, maybe we're losing some people on it actually, then
we're also earning some others, so
Yeah.
no worries, man. It's good.
the challenge is averted because basically this person is willing, to defend this position.
Nice.
You can redo that. You can do it
by actually paying and proving that he thinks it's
Yes.
worth it. Okay.
Now, if he's not willing to do that, then a challenge or like an auction is started. Then basically the collateral is auctioned away. It's a reverse Dutch auction.
Okay. Wow.
That is how the system is secure without needing an oracle.
So cool. I've never seen like stuff. I've never seen that. I've never even heard the term reverse Dutch auction. Wow.
You know who started the first model doing the reverse Dutch auctions?
No.
That was Gnosis.
Really?
Yeah, back in 2017, I think it was. They used this, and it's a similar use case here, to price non-liquid assets.
To price non-liquid assets.
To find a price for an asset which doesn't have a liquid market.
This is very cool. So basically, once it's challenged and the owner of the position isn't willing to pay for it, then the auction will begin and it will appear on the auctions section.
Correct.
Well,
now, obviously,
were there already like challenges and auctions? Like, were there any?
No. We hope that this is not happening. We've been lucky that so far we've been somewhat in a bull market and positions are quite healthily collateralized. And people are kind of, you can also always increase your collateral. You can, if you see, oh shit, now I'm approaching a limit, you can put in more money or.
I wanted to ask you, if I may, another thing. Like, I'm sure that you're aware much better than myself that with Curve Finance, for example, there's the whole llama and soft liquidation model. Is there like any kind of intersection between the soft liquidation model and whatever you guys are doing? Like, or maybe something that is planned for the future or whatever? Because the way I know Mitch, he's thinking like 12 steps ahead usually.
To be very honest, I don't know the soft liquidation mechanism very well. I can only assume that is something similar where you kind of you want to avoid exactly, that's it. That point that I made initially of often like liquidating someone with immediately is very often not the optimal solution. And I assume that soft liquidation is approaching that same problem somehow. I would be telling bullshit now if I would say I know. I haven't read into it. So maybe that's actually something I should do.
I'm sure you'll find it extremely interesting. I actually think that, my financial knowledge is as limited as it gets, basically. But the model basically allows people to deliquidate from like stuff that they would have been liquidated at like 1,000%. But so often it really just allows people to sleep well at night, knowing that despite volatility, they will not liquidate because of the fact, like the way that they built this mechanism called llama of soft liquidations, and it's actually quite brilliant. I see another very interesting question, I think. By the way, we can see that 512 agrees. Llama is mega interesting. Can only recommend it. I agree. I think it will. I think it's still not like underappreciated. Kula is adding, also with someone more from Monero community, I think you guys should talk with Seridex developers for a potential integration. They're building a completely decentralized swapping service between XMR, BTC, and DAI. From what I understand, I will keep reading it here, it's not on the screen. From what I understand from discussions on their Discord, they're looking for other valuable stablecoins to potentially integrate after launch. So, a good point by Kula. Maybe you guys at Frankencoin Association should check out. Kula, I can only recommend you reach out to Johannes on or Frankencoin on their X. Johannes is Jonk93, right? Jonk 93. An amazingly responsive guy. Also, when I personally tagged Frankencoin and like they messaged me in like a second, and we started talking on Telegram. So definitely go.
Actually, what I'm going to do now, because we have
let's check out.
currently set the direct messaging only to
Yeah, but they can tag you. They can tag you, and then if you find it interesting, you can obviously message them as well. So just guys, just tag them all over the place on every post that they do, and maybe sometimes they will answer you. Like do it the Israeli way. Like you can't only be Swiss way. Sometimes you have to do it the Israeli way. It's okay. 512 adds, during a rapid downturn, can one bidder not overpay for the collateral where a bid is too high by the time the auction phase ends?
Now let me think. Now I would during the rapid, can one offer collateral? Yes, but they would get it back because they like. I don't have Lucius in here because we had this exact same discussion 2 days ago.
512 is smart, man. 512 is a smart guy,
man. With someone very, very, very experienced and very deep into that whole system. Lucius had a very smart explanation for it. Maybe let me find. I could potentially find that message somewhere in my Telegram. Where he explained it why, but there is an economic reason how you can hedge that, where that is only transitory. So transitorily, yes, but you would somehow make that money back.
That's actually that's actually cool. I really like the more we're talking, and I kept thinking earlier. I wanted to ask you about like the types of collateral and like how did you guys choose them, and then immediately you said that man, it's all about the community. Like the community, if they want a new token being used as collateral, they should just just to say they propose it. Because when I saw you guys have like Wrapped BTC and CB BTC. I immediately thought like my favorite rapper, again, not financial advice or whatever, but I really like Threshold Network or however you call it, TBTC. And I just want to invite like the TBTC community. Like I think this is something that can be extremely interesting for you guys. So if anyone from the Threshold Network community is looking at this, maybe you guys should propose TBTC as collateral.
Why not you?
No. Me, you're right. But I think that many people on the Threshold Network community that actually hold TBTC and like me, not, you have to be like, have some kind of size as an investor to be interesting for, but actually I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more types of collateral with you guys. I think that, I'm pretty convinced that still such a small relatively group of people know that there is even like a Swiss franc stablecoin, let alone its advantages and all the kind of stuff that can be done with it.
Man. I mean,
incredible.
Look, how is this being approached? There is a set of like formal requirements, which you find on our GitHub discussion page as well. on like what a collateral needs to have to be eligible from a technical perspective, but also from an economical perspective, because there is certain things like, the system only works if I actually can get some of the token. If a big holder is able to corner market, it is not a good collateral. So there's a whole process of basically getting collateral. So now the beauty is like most of the big like liquid cryptocurrency projects or crypto projects. If you go,
it's here, by the way.
Yeah, the fun thing is I never find it myself. Let me quickly go back. the link to discussions on GitHub. Where the hell are they? I'll.
Okay, this is Lucius, by the way. I see. Shout out, Lucius. Shout out, man.
Oh, I know. So if you now click on Frankencoin. So I mean, for the ones who are not Swiss here, Lucius is an OG. He's the founder of the Swiss Bitcoin Association in 2012. That was. He used to be the chairman of Bitcoin Swiss for a long time. He's politically extremely active. He's probably one of, if not the most high-profile person, like doing work behind the scenes, not going out and driving out with a tank, in Switzerland in blockchain, and really? Basically what he's done for the space, pre-Frankencoin it is really just incredible. And he went out. He's a computer scientist. He did his PhD in economics because he was starting as a computer scientist building blockchain. And then I said, well, this is so much economics. I need to study this. And that's why I went back to university and did that PhD and wrote, well, that's where Frankencoin really comes from.
Incredible. Is he on X, by the way?
Yeah, he is.
I see.
He has got the most cool X pro handle ever.
Lucius. Bitcoin Swiss. What is Bitcoin Swiss, by the way?
Bitcoin Swiss is the largest, and by big. So, well, I mean, this is hard to overstate what Bitcoin Swiss is, really. Bitcoin Swiss is a large broker in Switzerland. They are the guys who made the whole ICO basically boom happen back in 2017. Really? They have, it's a big company.
Wow, 200 plus people. Highly diverse in knowledge. I'm not showing it. I'm sorry. Bitcoin Swiss currently employs a team of 200 plus people, highly diverse in knowledge, but united by the belief in the positive impact of crypto assets on human development. Kind of like Switzerland, in a way, no?
Funnily, it's been founded by a Danish gentleman.
Ah, really?
Called, Niklas Nikolaisen. He's my neighbor here, but... who came to Switzerland. He's Swiss now. He's Swiss now. He's got the Swiss citizenship, and meanwhile he's been in Switzerland for a long time. They started small and built up Bitcoin Swiss what it is. There, people who are in Switzerland, they know that Bitcoin Swiss had its challenges, and with the regulator in Switzerland, they basically wanted to become a bank at some point, and the FINMA didn't want that.
Is it also like a matter of time? Like, is it a yet question, or is it not?
No. Like, if you're interested in that, read up, like, Google Bitcoin Swiss banking license. There's a lot of very colorful stuff on that. But yeah, it is. It's probably the largest player in Switzerland. No, not probably. It is the largest player in Switzerland doing that. Obviously, you have stuff like Tether also in Switzerland, which is bigger internationally. Or the Ethereum Foundation is also technically in Switzerland.
Ah, really?
Yeah, they're all in Zug.
Man, Zug is like a serious money capital in the world. Yeah, like one of the money capitals of the world, you say?
It is. It is called the Crypto Valley.
Really?
I mean, yeah. There is, I think, about 800 crypto companies in Zug.
Wow.
Most of the big foundations are here, from Solana to Ethereum to...
By the way, can I ask, is it because of, again, regulatory reasons, taxation reasons,
yes,
all that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Can I use the platform to even ask you, another side question?
Sure.
I was told that in Switzerland, there is, a flat tax, something like that.
Okay. So Switzerland has this concept of, in Germany, call it Pauschalbesteuerung.
How do you
I
say it
think it's
again? Pauschal again? Say it again.
in English it's called lump sum tax.
Okay, yeah, I heard that one.
A
How do you say it
lump
in?
Pauschalbesteuerung.
It's so good.
Which means that if Swiss cannot have that, but if you're a very wealthy foreigner, you can come to Switzerland. Not all over the place, but certainly in Zug and Works, for example.
By the
And
way,
you can
what is very
basically,
what is very wealthy? Like how wealthy? How wealthy is very wealthy?
I think you have to pay at least 500,000 Swiss francs in taxes per year to even be considered.
Really?
So basically, what you do, you go to the Swiss tax authorities and say, "Hey guys, look, I'm now living in Israel. I'm looking to move to Switzerland. I don't want to work in Switzerland. I have my assets outside of Switzerland. So I would like to be taxed not on that stuff which I do outside of Switzerland, but I would like to be taxed on what I cost the Swiss state. I will have, I have so many kids. I will have a big house. I will, have so many cars. I usually spend so much money on per month on whatever, and then you find a deal." And you don't pay, you still pay tax. Like if you make money in Switzerland, you pay taxes on that, but you don't get tax on anything you have outside of Switzerland.
That's cool. That's really cool, and there's so much to learn about it. And I'm sure that it's not really relevant for me at the moment, I must say, but I'm sure that for some folks, this is actually very relevant data.
Now, the more interesting part is that there's no capital gains tax in Switzerland.
What? Really?
That is probably the more relevant thing for crypto people.
No capital, like, is there no capital gains tax in Switzerland, like on anything?
Yeah.
Like regardless of crypto, you mean, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The Swiss
Basically,
the Swiss people are smart and sane people. That's what I'm seeing. Basically, we're
basically
hearing.
the Swiss, what the Swiss do, and I really like that they basically don't treat crypto separately. That is also,
they're fair. They're just fair. You know what I mean? They're just fair.
Someone asked about this token classification, security, payment token and utility token, and that is that same thing where they say, well, if a crypto behaves like a security, has several aspects, for example, the FPS probably, then this is a security in our eyes. They treat this techno neutrality. That is also where the idea comes from, that you can actually issue equity on chain. It is just a different technology. It is, it's in equity. Like why would this be treated differently to issuing it in a centralized manner? If the system, the blockchain, complies with certain attributes, for example, it's secure, it cannot be falsified, it can be traced, then yes, why can you not just issue your equity on chain? That same thing, it's this tech neutrality, which is a guiding principle. Unfortunately, in reality, it is often not applied like that by the FINMA, but the guiding principles are tech neutrality.
This is extremely cool, I must tell you. This is really extremely cool, and I'm learning a whole lot about like the Swiss mindset and the Swiss system. And I must say that I'm fascinated by it. I apologize for turning my back. I want to refresh the page here. I want to show the FX protocol version 2 new interface on the background for some subliminal messaging of our new sponsors. Wow, really, the Switzerland is just cool. Okay, I knew it. I knew it in advance, and really, just like a week ago, one of my best friends returned from Switzerland. They do like all kinds of stuff around the world, actually, with some businessmen. They're far more serious people than I am. but they weren't in Switzerland that many times. I think it was like their second or third time in Switzerland. They went skiing for a few days, and they really told me a lot of cool stuff about Switzerland over there. Man, yeah. And by the way, I also wanted to ask you something, but before that, I will show these comments from 512 again. We have Ethereum, Cosmos, Cardano, Solana, Polkadot, and Ton. I'm not sure exactly what.
What he means by that is those are the foundations which are in Zug.
Oh, wow.
There's more than. There's more though. There's more than.
Yeah, for sure. But
So-
these are like all these are like top 10 or top 20 foundations, probably. You know, like these are huge ones.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that Cardano and Solana, because you know, with Solana, for example, when I think about Solana, I only think about the US. Like it's for me, it's like the American blockchain. You know, the American retail blockchain. I don't know the way I perceive it, at least. But now I'm understanding that even the American blockchain is based in Switzerland, because I guess they know what they're doing. Like someone there knows what they're doing. I wanted to show this as well. Also, the advice, thank you 512 for the info here. If you're interested in the Swiss crypto ecosystem, I can suggest the CV Labs Top 50 report. Connect us 512. Let's have them on.
Shilling stuff here.
Yeah, shill is like our audience earns the right to shill whatever they want to shill. Like, that's the whole point of participation economy. We all shield each other. Like that's how life actually goes. As long as it's transparent. Like
I think Frankencoin is not in a report yet. We have to change that.
When is the next report due? Then, like when is the next report coming?
I'll just go by their office.
I'll DM it to you. Thank you very much, 512. This is great. I haven't enjoyed the stream. Like I haven't streamed for like 3 weeks or even maybe more than that. Ever since like the whole thing. Really, I did not expect to have that much fun on this one. Before I ask you like something that I wanted to wrap up with. Anything, like, because I really thought, I had no idea that we will go over 2 hours. Man, shout out to you for being here with us and spending so much time and energy and so much of your info. Like this is a brilliant stream on, at least for me. Like I haven't enjoyed the stream that much in a very long while. Anything else you want to add that we didn't touch on and you want to highlight, to say, like, and by the way, I'm not in a hurry. Like, if you want, I'll just get some water and we can go on and on.
It's all right. You know, I need to go actually hang up some clothes afterwards. So what time is it in Israel? It's like 1 o'clock
right now
right?
in Israel, it's 20 minutes before midnight right now.
Oh, okay,
in,
well, that's
Israel.
all right.
We started at like, I think it was
7:30 your time, 6:30 your time.
No, we started at like I think around 9:15 my time. Incredible, man! You're brilliant. Before we wrap up, Johannes, and let me give first of all, thank you so much. I think it was brilliant. I think what you guys at Frankencoin doing is basically like 10 times more interesting than I've realized when I invited you on. I'm extremely happy that I caught this announcement and was able to ping you guys, and thank you for being so responsive and immediately coming on. And it's by the way, it's a huge honor for me and for us at Leviathan News to have you to realize that this is actually your first ever stream. You should go wherever with it. I highly recommend any other podcast and media outlet out there. If you haven't heard about Frankencoin yet and you haven't invited Johannes or someone from the association on, you should. And Johannes, I think you're an amazing representative of the association. Obvious, I don't know anyone there other than you already, but I can tell you they've done brilliantly by choosing you. I think you're an amazing presenter of what you guys have been doing. You easily and fluently answered basically every question that both myself and so many people in the audience had. And you've mentioned, I don't even remember if it was on the stream or just before we started the stream, you've mentioned that if Zurich is coming, and I had no
Yes.
idea, but you say that on the end of, at the end of January,
Yeah.
if Zurich, maybe I can even find it on X.
Yes, actually, as
Just
a community, you get some special deal on it as well. So we'll definitely be with the association at East Zurich. I think there's
do,
certain people in this stream who know what I've been doing in the past. It has something to do with tacos.
tacos.
Yes, tacos.
Isn't
Uh,
tacos Mexican?
yeah, I don't. It's relative. It's relative. But
By the way,
I
if
will be most likely doing something really cool at East Zurich. So keep tuned on that. If you're, in Switzerland, if you're around, definitely come meet us there.
is let me just show it on the screen, and you tell me if it's the actual X account of ETH Zurich. Just a
It's called
second.
Ethereum Zurich because if you look at East Zurich, that is university. And I'm
Okay,
actually
okay. Let me just show it, and you will tell me if I'm showing the right one.
I'm
If
very
not,
curious. Yeah, that is the one. That is the one exactly.
followed. Okay, so January 30 to 31st, community conference by UZH blockchain. Let me follow this. And event, duct tape events. Nice
They're the
name.
guys who are also organizing ETH Prague. Same.
Really?
Yeah.
I really wanted to be at ETH Prague, but I wasn't able. To be honest, the only conference that I've ever been to, like so far, was ETH Belgrade in May of the previous year. I had an amazing time.
I was speaking there 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I had an amazing time over there. Shout out to the guys there, Tanya, who invited me from at Leviathan News. It was a brilliant conference, and it was so, like the whole side events and stuff that we had all around was so incredible. I really enjoyed Belgrade itself as well. It was my first time ever in Belgrade, and it really made me realize that conferences are so interesting, especially the not huge ones. For me personally, I'm very much interested in these ones. You can really meet a lot of people and connect with them. You have time to actually start getting to know some people. I met Cyril from FX Protocol for the first time there. Shout out Cyril. We had a great time together. Went to had some drinks and stuff, whatever, responsibly, of course. And man, I'm looking forward to be at some conferences myself for the fun of it and the connections and all of that for sure, but also because it really made me realize that not us and not anyone that I know of as a media outlet, basically no one is doing a good job, in my opinion, in covering conferences. And I really I hope that in 2025 and beyond, but hopefully even in 2025, we will start doing much better coverage of crypto conferences. I think it's a golden opportunity of delivering great content. It should be organized, it's not that easy to do, but it's like a gold mine for great content, and to get dozens of interview a day or 2 or 3. And I will definitely be asking you some stuff about Ethereum Zurich, which is upcoming. And did you say that you will? I'm sure that you will be a part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we'll be attending definitely. For some reason, the whole agenda is not out yet, so I'm not sure in what exact form or not. But I'm planning to do something really cool for the community there, as I tend to do.
Nice.
Nice. Cool.
Check
I mean, maybe if I can do a plug here, there's one question posed by Henry. 512. In terms of why we're not
part
of
the last one.
Yeah, no, the one before.
Let's see. Get a bigger market cap and you'll get in. Next report coming in 11 days.
Talking about a top 50 report. Well, that is on the community now, right? Help us get that market cap up. Put in your collateral, mint Swiss francs.
Exactly.
Help us get there. That would be my biggest plug right now.
You understand your role at the association. You should get a raise, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah, there's no money there.
Someone give this gentleman a raise. Like, he knows what he's doing. I think you've again, man. Shout out to all the viewers here. According to Restream, we currently have 850 people watching. By the way, most viewers are watching it on the Frankencoin account. So thank you very much for connecting the Frankencoin account over there. A brilliant job. Obviously, it's very interesting to people that are already familiar with you guys. Let's just read this final comment by 512, who really, guys, you've made a huge difference on this stream. Like, the comments section, I have never had so much interaction and fun on the comment section, and it's because of you guys and all your questions, but of course it's because of Johannes and how responsive he was with all the comments, and I know that it really made you keep asking and asking, and this is a brilliant way to take advantage of the fact that we do live streams here. We don't do like pre-planned shows where I have like my 7 questions and that's all I want to ask. It's quite the opposite. I think like this way, the streams are 70 times better. And let's just wrap it up with 512, who's saying East Zurich will be hype. We have a panel on there as well. Looking forward to the tacos. 512, send me a DM, brother. I want to ask you a lot of stuff about East Zurich, to be honest.
Also, I have to break it. It's not going to be tacos this year, man. I mean, I
you
know,
said tacos yourself, no? Didn't you say tacos
I know,
yourself?
No, he has, like, 512 has some inside knowledge there. It also wasn't tacos last year. So actually in Zurich, what happened, we did tacos, and then last year, the one taco place in Zurich was like, no, you cannot do more than 15 people reservations. So we had to do schnitzel. I think you were part of it.
By the way, is that like the original schnitzel made out of veal, or like the version that we have at other places in the world, especially here in Israel, made out of chicken?
No, even worse. It's cordon bleu. It's
what does it mean?
It's basically in Switzerland. There's one with veal as well, but it's more pork. It's pork stuffed with cheese.
Okay.
I think you were not even allowed to eat it in.
Me personally, yeah, you're right. I eat kosher, so when I'm when I'm abroad, especially like the past few years, where I've started eating like more kosher than before. I didn't care as much in the past, but as I grow up, I actually care more, and it's like better for my digestion. I understand, to eat like kosher food. I have to tell you that when I was in Belgrade, for example, I only ate cheeses and fish. And I must tell you that the best cheeses that I had in Belgrade was from this small like shop, like I don't even know how it's called, because it's not exactly a shop. It's like one of these like stand at the middle of the street. But there was this lady, a beautiful lady, originally from Montenegro, and she has cheeses from all kinds of places from Europe over there in Belgrade on the big avenue there. And I ate some amazing cheeses from France and from Italy. But you know what her favorite cheese was? And she was kind of right. It was brilliant. It was a Swiss cheese. I think it's called Gruyere. How do you say it? How do you actually say it?
It's like industrial Swiss cheese. But there's a lot. Like, if you come here, we'll take you to get some good cheese. But talking about cheese,
you have no idea how much I want to come, man. You have no idea how much I want to come.
Now let me make it worse. So we did schnitzel cordon bleu last year. This year, what I'm going to do is fondue.
Wow.
You know what fondue is?
Yeah, where you dip stuff like it's something you can do, like a cheese fondue. You can do a chocolate fondue, right?
Yes. So basically, traditional Swiss fondue, cheese. You plop bread into cheese.
Wow.
So 512. Unfortunately, no tacos this year because taqueria is being complicated. But I most likely there will be tacos in Denver, actually.
Oh, Denver!
If anyone in here comes to eat Denver,
are you going?
Yeah.
Amazing! Like two sides of the spectrum. If Zurich, if Denver. If Denver is in February, by the way, or is it
end of February? Correct. End of February.
Amazing. As you can see, Swiss francs are not only in Switzerland, it's all around the world, and it seems that they're coming to Denver to conquer the dollar capital of the world. Man, I don't know if I've ever had like a stream that I've enjoyed as much. There's a very good chance, by the way, that this is the longest stream I've ever done. Like I have gone over 2 hours in the past, but I really doubt that I've ever gone 2 hours and a half. And to be honest, I could have gone some more. I'm already looking forward to chatting with you again to get some updates. Let's do that. Like, on what like TVL or market cap, like when are we having you back? Right now you're at 28 million TVL, right? Like what's our next station where we're catching up? 50, 100?
Yeah, let's do 50. Let's do 50.
You got it, man. Like whenever you guys are 50,
I'm a big fan of like powers of two. So 50, then 100, then 200, then 400.
Incredible, man. And really, Johannes, I had an amazing time. Whenever you feel like coming or you have any kind of updates, let us know, whether it's headlines that you want us to push about Frankencoin and what you guys are doing. I think it's very refreshing and very innovative to be talking about a stablecoin, which is not a dollar. And you know what? And it's not a euro as well. And in a way, it actually signifies symbols, whatever. Like it just it feels like strength. I don't know. I think Swiss francs are stablecoin. Like maybe the most underrated stablecoin that I've ever heard of are the Swiss franc. So guys, check out Frankencoin and whatever they do. I think that Johannes has brilliantly shared a lot of what they do with us. Thank you so much. Shout out again to our sponsors at FX Protocol. Thank you so much for this sponsorship. I will just use this opportunity to show our ref link here. If you guys want to mint some stable coins, dollar stable coins for a trade, but still use our ref link and check out FX Protocol, whether it's on the leverage side of things, whether it's on the stability pool of FX USD. And again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Share the episode all over the place. Thank you, everyone. And goodbye, folks. Shout out Johannes. Really enjoyed this one, man.
Much appreciated. Hey, well, and one last thing to say. Go ahead. Let's make Swiss franc the better version of stablecoins. Like, don't de-risk into USD. Get CHF.
The man said it. The man literally said it. You have a good point.
Good night.
You have a good point. Bye, everyone. Ciao.